Could it be nicer? Oh, now I can hear it. Thank you, Aaron. No, makes me super comfortable.
I don't like my voice either. I like when I hear it in the audio.
Yeah.
When you send an audio, I was like, oh.
Yeah, and when you have to listen to yourself, like when you record, it's nothing at all compared to how you.
Right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Startup Jam. Very nice to have you all here today. My name is Uli, and I work as a community manager here at Go to 10. It's a meeting place for people, companies here in the heart of Mjärdevi, Linköping. And today it's not a usual day for us really, because we have this exciting panel. We're talking about entrepreneurship, startups, and diversity. Most importantly, I have a expert panel with me today, people that run businesses, have experience of having run businesses, and know a thing or two about diversity. A lot of things, actually. So they'll be sharing their best ideas with you. And we will get straight down to it, but first I'd like our guests to present themselves. Please state your names, the company you represent. We can start with you, Arman. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Lee. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Aman, and I'm the CEO of Fastlane Devs. So we develop solutions, AI solutions for manufacturing and retail. And it's been very good journey so far. Exciting.
I'm Natalia, and I'm representing Buildility. I work as a project manager and a software developer there.
My name is Frida Svensson. I work as the program manager for Linkstep, which is run by Stångåstaden, and we support people finding employment.
Hi, my name is Sajid. I'm CEO and founder of Dazok. So we do energy efficiency, energy management for manufacturing industries.
Thank you guys so much. Well, as you can tell, the focus today is on startups, right? We're talking about growing companies that are being started, right? The thing that impresses me most about startups is the human genius behind it, really. If you take a group of people with like right intentions, right ideas, put them in a startup, I think you can unlock pretty much amazing potential. I'm not talking about the product or an idea so much, and you can correct me guys if I'm wrong. I'm talking about the human factor in it. Just the fact that people come down together with different backgrounds, different ideas, work together, overcome the challenges, the cultural challenges, including, and create something beautiful, beautiful outlet. That's why I think startups diversity marry so well into each other, one another. What do you think? I mean, how does that lining goes?
Well, the very, fact that I kept company's name Fastlane is when you have a small group of people, we tend to go fast, and ideas are like, you can implement and execute these ideas faster. Whereas you don't have to have the burden to carry, okay, fine, I need this approval, that approval. You have an idea, you test it, right? Fail until you succeed. That's the thing. And in doing that, you'll find why you're doing that. And once you have discovered your why, I think that's it. That's the point. That's make a great company. Yeah.
Fair enough. Do you agree, guys? What's your take on that one?
Yeah, regarding diversity, I mean, for Dazok, it has come quite natural for us. Myself coming from a diverse background, and it has. I think it's not only about demographic representation only. I believe, because it's also okay. You can have people coming from diverse background. It's also for us to see that all kind of different ways of thinking is actually taken into account. Everybody is valued, for example, and especially for brainstorming sessions, and especially as a startup, like you are first of all building something new. And that's the best place where like innovation or creativity should be there. And when we have people coming from diverse backgrounds and all of their, if we have correct processes to ensure that to see that all these values are, or all these views are represented correctly in the discussions, for example, then we definitely will get the best results. That's what I have found also in our experience with the Zoc almost for 4 years, I would say. Yeah, so it's really good.
That's beautiful. If we take your personal kind of accounts into consideration, your companies, right? How do you feel like your personal, cultural, whatever background, help you have an interesting approach to innovation, a bit different approach to things, like your mindset? How do you feel this being implemented in your company, really? Or personally by you?
I think as Sajid spoke about diversity and the perspective as well, I would say diversity brings perspective. So we might be thinking in a certain direction, and when you have people from different culture, different markets, and different with different ideas, it brings something new, and that's very amazing when you see it like that. And we in our company, we are open to perspectives, and also how lame the idea can be, you have to keep it out, you have to spit it out. That's how we look things.
Yeah, you have to try and fail
to
make it work. How do you feel about this, Natalia? How does this work?
I agree with Aman about perspective. Like when we have a lot of people with the same background and quite similar experiences, it's difficult, not difficult, but we cannot find the different ways of thinking about that. So I think that's really good when we have a diverse group. But personally, from my history, I think how I contribute more into the diversity is like I was like, in Brazil we don't have that many opportunities how there is here in Sweden. So I try to take and embrace all opportunities that show up. And I think that's like what makes us keep going as well in the business. We are always motivated, hard working, because we don't want to lose any opportunity. So we just keep going. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah. When you say the opportunities, how do you mean? Like as in starting a business is different in Brazil compared to Sweden, or?
Starting a business, getting education and everything. Like my family, not everyone had the opportunity to actually start a study at university. So like learnings, experiences, learning new languages, starting your own business, and communicating, learning like a new culture. I think this is quite important when you have like a startup. You need to understand how to communicate with your employees and also with your customers. So it's not in the same way as we do in Brazil, here in Sweden. So we need to adapt as well. So
absolutely, I agree. Frida, you are a very special guest today. So you guys figured out we have 3 startuppers, right? Well, myself not included. And then we have Frida, you're special because while others are busy building companies, you are busy building people, quite literally. Do you wanna tell us more about the work you do at Linkstep?
Yes, I can do that. But I also would like to just comment a little bit about what you guys were saying, because Linkstep, we help people find employment. But we're also part of Stångåstaden, which is a completely different field, because they build buildings, right? And I think it's kind of similar. We have to be very, very flexible. We're like the gooseberry at work. Nobody really knows what we do. But at the same time, we're very innovative. So it's kind of a nice thing to have. So we kind of, in some fields and in some conversations, we're very popular. But in some fields and in some discussions, people don't know what we do. And I think then you have to be very innovative. You have to look at, being flexible to lift up different parts of what you're doing in different conversations. So I think also us being a little bit different has the same kind of we get the same kind of feel that I guess a startup gets as well, that you have to look at every opportunity and to take advantage of every opportunity. You have to be very open, and you have to kind of go on everything, and you have to be a part of everything. You need to be inclusive as well. So we have a similar situation, I think. But to explain a bit more about what we do, it is a program. I call it a program, but it is something that Stångåstaden provides for everyone in Linköping. It started in 2018, and then it was actually for the people that were living in our apartments, but now it's open up to everyone, and we're trying to build Linköping together with the commune. So, and the commune is also the one that is funding the program. You can be a part of it for 1 year. You need to be between 20 and 60, unemployed, and living in the city. And what we do is that I think we're also a very diverse team. You've got my colleagues over there. And I think that's one of the things that makes work very fun. Like, we have a very good time at work, and I think we enjoy very much what we're doing. But I also think it creates a very inclusive environment for people to come to. I think people usually feel very welcome. And I think also the diversity and the different skills and educational backgrounds that we have also helps people find employment. We have long conversations. We always try to get to know our participants, figure out where you're heading, what you want to do. And some of them want to start up their own companies, but then how do we get there? Who can we, do we need to put in contact with Uli? Maybe one of you guys in the future, just putting it out there, that we might get in contact with you.
Networking as we speak.
Yeah. But we also meet people that are fairly new to the work market. They might not necessarily be an education at all. You're new to the language. You're new in the country. You might also have some experiences with you that you're still kind of trying to deal with. And then, so what we do is then to try what do we have? What can we work with? What skills do we have? What do you know? And for some people, it's like, oh, well, I've got my children. That's what I bring up 5 children, and that's like you say, it's project management, isn't it? And then we look at what works, what can we do, and then we try to build from there. And the whole idea is for us to start, we'll support as much as we need to in the beginning, but then the individual will then continue on its own. Mm. So we're trying to make people self-sufficient and to be able to make educational choices, to understand the Swedish work market. What are my responsibilities? What are the employer's responsibility? If I want to start my own company, how do I go about that? And so we're trying to find different ways forward for people so that they can get to their end goal. And that's usually a lot about getting to know each other and to be inclusive and interested and curious about people. Yeah.
It's amazing work you guys do, really. So the applaud goes to you. But I'm thinking also from the corporate perspective a little bit. So you have kind of the privilege to have met a lot of, I guess, companies, right? When you try to help people with employment and you get to meet those companies. Where would you say, in your experience, where are we at with diversity today? Is it still nice to have on the homepage because you have to, or are we actually, going into the right direction? I mean, it is happening, like people getting diverse for real.
I would like to stay positive. I
Very
think
neutral.
We do meet a lot of companies, both visiting companies, but through Stångåstaden or through networking, and I think there is a genuine interest in diversity and to being more inclusive and creating diverse teams. But I don't think that everyone is fully prepared yet. I don't think everyone has the skills. I don't think they've necessarily created the environment in the workplace where you can foster diverse teams. But when we go out and we present what we do, we get a very positive response. I think a lot of the companies that we meet are really, happy to meet us and want to collaborate. But then it is still a lot of hard work to get that collaboration up and running. people are still a little bit reluctant. I think you still go with what you know. Recruitment bias is still a big thing, but I would still say there is most companies are open to the discussion, but whether or not they're going to implement changes or to do anything about it, I think that differs a bit. And unfortunately, I would also say that we do come across certain companies that are not at all interested in diversity or employing people with a different background or different skill sets. And was that?
That's very honest, and thanks for sharing. I mean, that's sad to hear, of course, but we need to know that. But I was thinking, you guys, you were on something really good, talking about different perspectives. Like diversity is different perspectives. I mean, it doesn't have to be only cultural or gender. It's all about being different and contributing in a positive way. What would you say you think the small companies, startups, like for example yourselves, can teach the big ones? More homogeneous, more traditional, more conservative. There was something you would like say, this is my lesson in.
First thing, I don't understand why to stop yourself and give people a chance. First thing, we don't know what they can bring to the table, right? So we all have visited many countries, right? And my agenda always in the list is to learn more and more from there. What can I improve, A, personally on myself, and B, what can I learn to teach other people that are around me from that particular culture. For example, I was in France, I learned so many good things. I mean, yes, there are bad biases there as well, but you are the picker eventually. You pick good things from there, whatever works for you. So when it comes to big companies, I don't understand really what they're thinking. So if you see the big techs, Google or Facebook or anyone for that matter, so there are a lot of people from diverse background, so that they are embracing that kind of culture. And look at them today, how they are achieving things exponentially, right? So that's why I love startups in the sense where the chance is given to people, and the true growth potential lies within people. It's not one person's game. So that's my take on it. Yeah.
I can give our example. So like we have a lot of students projects, and this is something I saw a lot here. The big business, they always like require, you need 2 years of experience in this area. So like almost no student have the opportunity to start working in their own area. This happened with me before I joined a startup. I studied molecular bioinformatics, couldn't get any job. I was working in the restaurants. I couldn't like work in my area. And then we do a lot of collaborations with LiU, Linköping's University, and we get like students group, and they are diverse. So we have like students group with different ages that like range from 22 years old to like 40. Not so many genders, because in the software development branch is mostly guys, but like different ages, different backgrounds, and different cultures. So like we have worked with the students like from Brazil, Syria, France, Italy, from many different backgrounds. So I think this is like a way that we, like Buildility, a small startup, we include diversity. And I don't see big, like let's say big tech business doing this. Like they always require, no, you need three years experience, and you need to have like such a good CV, and then you need to speak, like it's quite a lot of requirements that you don't know. Like it doesn't matter where you are from, for at least for us, it doesn't matter where you're from, it matters what you can do. And if you do it, like everyone that most of the people we have hired, they come from the students group. They don't have any experience. They only had their studies, and they are good. And come on, just come and work with us.
And just to add one thing, when a person is in need of improving themselves and they're curious, and you give them a chance, they will grow very fast. I've seen it.
Yes.
And that's like, you get a person, a good person that is like super curious, won't take your company forward, why would you say no to them? That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
A motivated person, like hardworking, that wants to get it done, that wants to make it work, problem solver. So doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah. So just to throw a little joke in there, it really feels like diversity is a state of mind on kind of goes both ways as well, right? I mean, on a corporate level, it has to be like a company has to be open, receivable, right? To able to embrace the changes, accept the new things, right? But also, if we look at the individual kind of level, right? You guys talking about the person has to also be wanting to do things, to contribute, be more active. I mean, especially if they end up in a new environment, right? It's never easy to adopt, of course, but it takes a lot of courage.
I mean, that's the prime thing. That like you should be curious about it. Anything like to get. If you want a job, you want to start something, or you want to help. So first thing is to spike your curiosity. You can't just expect things to happen to you, right? You have to go for it. And despite a failure, you'll always learn from that. Failure is state of mind, I would say. So, how I look at it is more like, okay, what's the worst thing gonna happen? I might not get the contract, or I might not deliver this product or anything, but in the process I would learn something there. So that's, if you put that mindset into play, I think after 1, 2, 3 trials, 4th trial you'll be getting what you want.
Can I add something to what you guys just spoke
about? Of course, please do. Go ahead.
Sure.
Don't ask.
No, I think I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I think that Linkstep, with the work that we do, is kind of in the middle of all of that, because we get participants that come to us and they're highly motivated. We don't, like how Arbetsförmedlingen and the commune, they get people. You have to go and do certain things. With us, it's voluntarily. You do it at your own will. And I think we meet all these very intelligent, capable people that are highly motivated, and we are when we meet the companies, so we're sort of in between, so we can help the participants maybe navigating a bit more towards the Swedish work market, maybe tweak your CV a little bit, maybe explain a little bit about networking. How do you network in Sweden, and how do you go about getting in contact with people? As well as we can work on the company side and trying to get them to be more inclusive and open-minded. And I think it's a very interesting scene to be in, and you see a lot of great things happening. And so I agree. I think just give people a chance, open up, and see where it will take you. I mean, it's really important.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sajita, how do you have any thoughts to add on that one?
Yeah, so in our case also, I have my colleague here, Eva. She's, for example, she's originally from Germany. Of course, she's much more fluent in Swedish than me. But what I'm trying to say is that, in our experience, it has been for the Zook, over the 4 years, we have hired or have employed much more people from diverse backgrounds than the normal startup kind of does. And what we have found is that it has really helped us to really innovate and think differently, because unless you innovate, you will be going out of business someday. And if you are so much going with the I understand some bigger companies, they don't want to maybe damage whatever they call it as their culture or standard culture, or and maybe if the herd mentality becomes too much, they will, because they are then no more a learning organization, and then one day they will run out of business. And it's much better to be proactive and be ready to change and learn from all the surroundings. And like Aman said, the biggies like Google, Facebook, they have really proven that there can be big differences if we can really embrace diversity also. So yeah.
Thank you. Guys, this question is going to be a little bit controversial. Well, tough, I think. I kept it, specifically.
It's a curveball for us.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but you're having such a good discussion, so I feel let's get it a bit more exciting. Well, we already touched upon this. I mean, we do have kind of a big group in Sweden, people well educated, different background in Swedish, come into this country, really able to do a lot, give a lot to this country, but for some reason feeling undermotivated, a bit scared, lost in the process, maybe not understanding, like Frida, you were on the market, the workplace, the culture, the codes, cultural codes, so to say. So there's one thing you would have changed maybe or would like to have different on a kind of societal / governmental level. Like what would Sweden as a country do a bit different when it comes to those questions? What would be your advice? I told you it was a tough one, so like it's okay. Take your time.
I can point it too.
Yeah.
I can point like in the perspective of exchanging is not only the government but also us, the like me from Brazil, for example. So in the big scope, I think the agencies that they help you to start your own business, they should have a more visibility. They should market more themselves. So for example, Linköping's with the lead, there's a lot of students that they want, like in this students group, they come and ask Daniel and I, like, how I want to start a business in this, how do we do, and where do I go? And then they never heard about lead, for example, so Almi. And so I think these agencies, they should go around more, market themselves more, go through like gathering people, gathering students that are willing to that want to build their own business.
Right, so like a better exposure, like
Yes.
so people would actually know what is being offered.
Yes, because like if you come, like me from Brazil, when I came here, I had any clue about it, no clue about it. So also there is this of like the work laws, the legislations and so on. So it's like it's too much information for someone from another country to understand. So yes, we do need some guidance in this. But then in the other perspective, as like me as an immigrant perspective, I think I also should adapt me more into the Swedish society. Like the Swedish society open their arms for us here, they welcome us here, but we as immigrants, we should set our boundaries as well. So we need to at least show some respect in learning their culture, the Swedish culture, learning the Swedish language, trying to adapt us, and not hurt the Swedes in a way. So like it sets our boundaries, because there's a lot of cultures, different backgrounds and so on. So I think it's just like an exchange relationship.
Come on, go ahead.
I think, when you talk about exchange or any transaction, be it societal, be it communication, it involves two parties and give and take from both parties. So I think what she said is like, both the parties should be ready for that.
Yes.
And from the seeker in perspective, what I see normally, because I've lived both in France and Sweden was much more easier, I would say. So if you go to live in some other country like France, where language barrier is high, at least here people and everything, the documentation is in English. I think that is very few countries have that kind of structure. So I appreciate Sweden for that. I've been into France. From there, I've learned is like, if you don't ask right question to right people, you won't get your way in. So I think the exchange is really important. From both parties. Here I see in Linköping alone, there are so many initiatives. There's Linköping Science Park. They have done so many things. It's just, you can't just wait and sit and things will come to you. It's never like that. You have to go forward. So if you sit inside in your room, just be whining about why you're here alone, that's not gonna help, right? People are not bad. It's just they are different. So we have to also think of diversity, because we are in some different culture. Maybe it's something different they have, some different way of communication, some different set of words that might spike them. So perhaps we need to also think in that perspective as well.
I can also add. So with regard to Dazok, so I did my master's from 2017 to 2019. So at the university here, but we were lucky enough, like I came to know about something called LIU Student Innovation. So, but I'm quite sure that there were many others like who didn't know about that, and like you said, lead, for example. So we were lucky to get in touch with LIU Student Innovation, and they of course guided us to lead, for example. But I'm quite sure that it is not so well known. These opportunities are not so well known in the student community, and all events. There could be even more events or things like that, wherein especially the international entrepreneurs can get to know that, okay, there are these kind of organization which can really help in your journey if you are interested to start a company, for example. Second thing is that, for example, I think like we should little bit celebrate more the success stories, because then it is an example for others. For example, things like maybe you all know about Orit's New Bigare kind of things, because it really proves that this is possible even being an international entrepreneur. So then it can definitely inspire others to start a similar journey. And third thing, in my journey over the 4 years, there are many companies which needs access to capital. And that has been the most toughest challenge I have had in the startup journey. Maybe, of course, there are companies which does not have this need, but being an international entrepreneur, you have additional hurdles to get access to capital. Yeah. Because, of course, you are coming from a different background. It's quite difficult for an investor to give them their hard-earned quite difficult for them to give them the hard-earned money. So, so what happens is there could be much more, for example, seed fundings or pre-seed fundings, government level grants, which could be more aimed towards international entrepreneurs also. Maybe the application procedure is much more simpler, or there are some criteria set for that. But access to capital is also quite tough for international entrepreneurs. So yeah.
I can add just one thing there. I think this is like the most important part in a startup is your customer. You cannot like build up your business if you don't have any customers. So this is something quite important, like a capital. So always like think like my example, I try to import Brazilian goods, import and export before I start in the startup. I also gave like Swedish and English lectures, and the most difficult part was to get customers and how do I communicate with them. And here in Sweden, so like when I had students that wanted to learn Swedish and they were Brazilians, I communicate through WhatsApp, because it's how we communicate in Brazil. All the business have WhatsApp and Instagram, no website, no email. But then here in Sweden, it's like, okay, I cannot find any customer that is gonna reply me on a WhatsApp. It needs to be email, and I need to have a website. So how do I do this? So this is also like, I think it's good with these agencies like Lead that they are gonna guide you through this process, because you cannot build a business if you don't have any customer. You need to have customers. They are like the baseline of your business.
Well, I'm going to add something anyway.
Please go ahead.
But I think that Linköping is still, there are still a lot of opportunities here, I think, compared to a lot of other places. And I understand that maybe they could be more visible. You got Nyföretagarcentrum, you got Almi, you got Startup Time, which is actually a project run by Nyföretagarcentrum, which is out in the community, finding entrepreneurship amongst people that are even further away from starting their own company than you guys were. Mm-hmm. But I think the issue here is not necessarily that they're not exposing themselves enough. I think they don't actually have enough funding to do that. Mm-hmm. I think it's a higher up issue. I think you need to support these support organizations a lot more on a governmental level, so that they can be out there and help people, because there is a lot of help to be given. This thing is driving me insane. Okay, every time I look at you, I get it in my face. But I think it's really important that they're out and about and show what they do. I mean, Ebbe Park, they've got their test bed there are a lot of opportunities here that you could dive into. So I don't think that it's not that the support is not there. I think you just need to fund them more so that they can be more visible. And I also think it's a little bit about when you receive the information. I think often when people come to the university, they get a lot of information on their first few days. And you're supposed to be able to take that on board and remember that through your whole schooling, right? So I think maybe it's also about being exposed to this, several times during your master's or your bachelor's, or being maybe being present at the university more often. But the support is definitely there. If I would compare it to a lot of other countries, like you were saying, there's a lot of help to get if you just.
I mean, ask right questions. That's it.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, but I totally agree with Sajid's point where the support in terms of capital for international entrepreneurs. I mean, it's very hard for when you're doing it alone. And you don't have it's not just about the technical ecosystem of your business, but also the empathy, because you're alone building things, and it's very rare that people around you will empathize on what you're doing unless you have made it to a success, to a point. So that time, the entrepreneur or the individual is alone, and that time lots of things are going in psychologically in the head. Right. So if the grants in a way where, I mean, of course, it should be innovative. I'm not saying like just to spend the grants like that. But if the grants are available for this kind of community, I think Linköping, given the ecosystem of the companies here, we can have big techs here as well. I am sure. I mean, there are big manufacturing companies here, but it's an innovation city, and I pretty much like it here. Given that spark, and LIU is just here, so pool of talent that we have here, it's amazing. I can see the potential that it can grow very well. So
Fantastic. Guys, final question from me. It will be a bit of a reflective one for you, but also the audiences, because we kind of want to engage. Right. Well, you must have, just like myself, have come across different articles, Forbes, New York Times, you name it, saying that diversity, just the concept of diversity, is a key to success, business success. I mean, just like that. It's basically a pill, a magic pill that you take as a company. One day you took the pill, you wake up, you're successful. That makes me often a bit not angry, but a bit upset, because I think it's very undefined, really. I mean, is diversity as itself as a concept so undefined? Is it really like a pill for all the cure for all the problems?
I mean, the thing is, looking at the angle of different demographies, different cultures, businesses should look at how they will go to the next step, rather than thinking, okay, we can have this kind of ideas or this kind of set of people, because if again I'm coming back to that, given chance to the right people, they'll take you miles. So not even thinking like from the racial perspective, or just don't think that. Just put, if the person is, believe in person, not on race, not on the cultural background. That's what my take is.
So throw away the concepts basically and see the person. Yeah.
I would say this. I would say like it doesn't matter your culture, how old are you, or your gender. Like if you are willing to do it, if you are willing to work with this, you are highly motivated, because in a startup, for example, is a lot of hard work. So like it doesn't matter where you're from. If you are good, if you are trying to make it better and improve, so you are like the right person. Doesn't matter if you are like from Brazil, or if you are 40 or 15 or whatever. So I would say that.
Yeah. I don't think it's a magic pill for everything, but I do think that, like, as a startup, daily you have lot of challenges to overcome, and it having diversity, like it really positions you in a much better position to tackle these challenges by getting lot of different angles to a single problem or perspectives, and then you're better prepared to handle these challenges. So which definitely, so if there is a provision to do that, why don't be in a much better position?
That's
Yeah.
no brainer. Yeah.
So not a magic pill, but still can take it and it can do some magic. I mean, what do you think, Frida?
Well, I think it's like you're saying. I think people throw that word around, not necessarily adding meaning to it. And I think, like I was saying previously, a lot of companies want to be diverse. They hire a person and they're like, now we're diverse. We've got a token person here who is not the same as everyone else. And then now we're going to be successful. But I think it is about, if from on a governmental level as well, but I think everyone needs to be on board. Everyone needs to be inclusive. I don't think any of this is going to work if we're not a part of it. We have to be curious. We need to be wanting to get to know each other, to learn from each other. And how are we also not, I mean, if things are not hard, how are we going to develop as people? Also ourselves. I mean, we need to be challenged ourselves. I don't know. I might be biased in some way. I won't find out if no one tells me. We have to have the conversations. We have to have the uncomfortable conversations as well. And I think just throwing the word out there saying we're being diverse is not going to solve anything, but maybe actually trying to have the conversations, trying to implement things, ask, what do you think? How do you want to do this? What are your take on this? And also maybe even ask for feedback. How do you feel I'm doing? Am I being inclusive? Is there something that I can improve? I think we just need to be more open about things and not so scared of doing. I mean, we all do wrong things at times, don't we? But we can learn from them if we dare to have the conversation, and if people dare to tell you that was not very nice, Frida, don't do that again, or whatever it is. But I think be open and address things, ask, be interested, be curious.
Yeah, break the shackles of the judgment.
Yeah. And not make it such a big thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we as human beings, we kind of scrutinize ourselves a lot, and every time we do something, we are scared of. I mean, not everyone, but most of the people, they're scared of judgments. What this X person will think. I mean, let them think, and if you are so bad, they'll reply. They'll give you a feedback. If you're so good, you'll also get a feedback. So do things. That's the way around.
Yeah.
So just don't stop yourself just because X person thinks that, Y person thinks that. Doesn't matter. They'll give you feedback. You'll learn something. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This is the time when we actually move ourselves to the audiences, and we want to engage with you too. So if you have any questions or ideas, insights you want to share, you have been listening to us for half an hour now. What do you think?
Please, if you want to ask a question.
Yes, you can borrow my mic. Don't be shy.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. I don't know if you hear me. Can you? Yeah. Annabelle, my name. Hey, I'm working in a mid-sized company in Stockholm nowadays, coming from Germany, but have lived since 7 years here and studied at LEU. You are saying that there are still companies around that they have zero interest in diversity. And what interests me is, what is there, or do you see a pattern in what these companies are bringing or having that doesn't allow them to think diversity? Are there any? Yeah.
I think a lot of these companies hide behind the language issue. I think a lot of people say, well, we can't do that because we need everyone to be able to speak fluent Swedish. I think that's probably the biggest excuse. I think there's always ways around that. Not everyone has to be in the forefront speaking in Swedish. I think you can find ways around it. But I think that's the main thing that we come across. I think it's also a little bit about validation. I think people that have their educational background from other countries sometimes, I think, get their degrees are valued less. And you can hide behind that as well, even though they have been validated and you have the documentation to prove that you have the appropriate exam or the appropriate degree. But foremost, I would say it's the language that people hide behind.
But are you talking about companies that also have customers internationally? Because then this is no question. I mean, it's like you should have people that can serve your different markets and their different languages and their different cultures, I would assume. So, or is it more
Ella
local?
is nodding her head here. It's like yes. Yeah, no, I think it's both. I think a lot of people are hiding behind the fact that they are a Swedish-based company and they work with the Swedish market or with people in Sweden. But yeah, I do think that it's internationally as well, because I think people are I think they think it's hard work and they don't want to do the hard work. And of course, just because you're hiring a diverse group of staff members, of course you have to put effort into it, but you have to do that with any group. I think it's naive to think that just because we're all Swedes in a team that it's going to work out wonderfully. But I think you hide behind a lot of these classical excuses, and you don't want to, because it is kind of proven, right? In all research and everything, diverse groups, they do better. So I think it's just you don't want to do the work. Well, to simplify things, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah.
I want to add to your question, or at least tell you my perspective. The problem I have been having here in Linköping, I am currently looking for a job, and it's also, you have companies like Saab, for example, where citizenship is a problem. Like, and Linköping is especially difficult because of Saab, because many companies around work with Saab.
Yeah.
So you are just not hireable because of the security clearance problems and everything. At least that's my experience in this months I have been looking for something, which, it's a big hurdle for, international people here. But,
And I think a lot of companies do work with Saab, and I think it takes
Yes.
away a
The
big
defense
chunk
industry.
of opportunities for people.
For me, like consulting companies, for example, like I could work for consulting companies with whichever other client, but I'm not hireable because if they have a project with Saab, I cannot be there, I cannot be close. And sometimes it's even harder, I cannot be in the same environment, in the same room as people working with these projects. So it's totally like, nope.
That's quite strange, I'm hearing, because I've been part of the organizations that, in France, that were responsible for civil nuclear, which is highly sensitive things. But I'm Indian by citizenship, and I was given the valuable chance there. So I don't understand. There is a part of security protocol. You do your due diligence, right, on the person. That's company's part. So I don't understand that hiding behind that kind. There is a thing. Yes, defense is sensitive, but there are parts in defense where the different ethnic groups can easily come. Don't know how it works in a typical with Saab. I don't know. I never worked with the defense industry, but from my experience from civil nuclear, that is also very sensitive. It's I think companies' job to do due diligence. Yeah.
It's a government requirement, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think
it comes
that
from up
too,
above.
yeah.
Companies cannot do anything about it.
But it's I think when it's to the core. So let's say when you think about it, it's you are not building a crucial component of the submarine. Let's say you're just building something that is not even relevant to the failure of a spaceship or that particular submarine. Sorry, spaceship, but submarine. So the thing is, there are consultants who will be working on that, right? So they can be allowed to do higher diverse backgrounds as well. So I mean, I'm giving you my personal experience. I was fortunate enough that I was given the chance, and with that said, I proved myself, and within 2 years, I had my own company with them as client. Yeah. Sorry.
Like, now I don't know where you are from, but like to add on that as well, because we have like a person at lead that had worked at Saab before with also like HR questions, and what she said is that like the reasons why they are like this is that for example other countries, for example Russia maybe, they could, if you recruit a Russian person here that has family in Russia, there's a big risk that that family is at risk in Russia because they might like use that family to get you to spy on the company or like these kind of questions. So I think it really depends on like maybe India is not as much of a threat to Sweden or Saab as other countries are. I don't know where you are from. Okay, that I don't know. That's good, but yeah. So just to add on that, but yeah, I agree. It's like it's difficult, really.
And I think the citizenship issue differs depending on what roles you apply for. But I think the ones that are more technological based, then they're higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question? I'm a little bit interested in like the ones that are like sitting here because I remember like I was with my boyfriend's family like Christmas dinner, and my boyfriend's sister had started a company, and we had a discussion about diversity because they were about to recruit a person that was really important for the company, and they had one person that was like international. And she was so scared because she was like, oh, but what if I can't understand, and like my English is so bad, and like, and she was like, she started crying and she was leaving the room because she was like so afraid kind of that like in the startup where it's so important that like you can work well together as a team, that this would be like falling apart because of the language barrier. So I'm a little bit curious, you who are here, I mean, I know about Sajid, but like when you started your company, like the very first person, like did you do it yourself or did you have like a, what do you call it, sparring partner, like a person that you worked with? And how diverse was that? Was that already very diverse, very different, or was that like still quite close to you? Because I mean, in a startup, it's really, really important that you work well together. So like how diverse was the very first, like the founders team and like that?
I was not when the Build was found, so like personally I cannot answer this question properly, but I do know that like it was through consultants. So since it was just like, oh, okay, is it my microphone? Okay, sorry. So I cannot answer this question properly, but right now the language is not the problem. I would say. I think the thing with the startups is that we don't have a super strict hierarchy that other big business like have. So these sometimes can be a problem, but sometimes can be an advantage, that we are more like comfortable with each other, and like you can treat everyone like in the same level. There is not like this hierarchical thing, but sometimes can be like, okay, who is taking the decision here? So this is like the conflicts I have found it. And also because the Swedish culture is a lot of like, we will fix that, we would do that, we would, like we always use the pronoun we, even though like you are the manager, you are like, let's say the boss, like we are gonna fix it, but sometimes it's not clear to the employee that he is the one that needs to fix it. Let's say, because
it's implied.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's implied. So I would say that these is like some barriers, or like not barriers, but like some conflicts that happen. Like in Brazil, we are quite straightforward. No, like, look, you have to do it. I expect you to do it. Let's do it. I think from Colombia is also the same thing. Yeah, just do it, please. So sometimes I can be interpreted as a harsh person because of this way. This is straightforward way. So I would say that this is something that we can think about when having a diverse group. The communication way. But now we understand each other, so everyone knows that I'm like straightforward. So there's no problem with that.
It takes time anyways.
Yeah.
I would. Can you hear me? Yeah.
No.
I will just like to add something to your comment and the context or that your question came from, and is that I think us as internationals living in Sweden, I cannot speak for other countries, but we need to understand that there's a lot of fear. And I think like the example that you mentioned is that the people get scared. People get scared to work with somebody that is new, somebody that they don't know of. And I think like we need to acknowledge and understand that not everybody is, like you said, there is not the preparedness, there is not the readiness to work with different people, not out of interest. It's not like there is no interest or possibility, is fear. Is like, what if something goes wrong? What if I am misunderstood in a critical matter? And when you're in a very local context, for example, Linköping, and I agree with you in that comment, is that there is a lot of international people here, but this is not a capital city, and this is not a city that it's used to having an openness to internationality, such as other cities. I'm not saying like Stockholm is the most international zone, but it's still we are smaller. The communities are way reduced. The level of trust is high, and to being able to get into that level of trust, it requires years of getting to know each other. So people in here, naturally, even for Swedish people as well, when you come from other area of Sweden to Linköping, they still struggle to get around. They still struggle to get a job because they're not the people that they're used to have in their own community. So to get inside the community is the thing that is the biggest barrier, and that leads, unfortunately, to job opportunities, to life opportunities overall, to social interactions and so on. So I think when we understood the mindset of the local person that is like, oh, this is kind of my little home, and this is what I'm used to, and like now there's this new context, and I don't know if it's gonna end up right or wrong, or what is it gonna happen, and that's where they're coming from. And we need to understand that. I think like when we all know, and everybody says diversity is great for business. Yes, of course. But what we don't talk about are the risks of diversity. And what we don't talk about is that not all organizations and not all people are ready or interested in working with diversity. And I believe that that's also totally respectable.
Yes.
You know, like if it's a company that for whatever reason they really do not have to establish a diverse team, but they still can operate. I mean, like they're in their whole right to say like, this is my team and this is how we work and so on. So it really changes. So it's not for everybody. It is very challenging for many people, and also understanding the local context that we're a smaller community. I think that kind of translates a lot of what's going on. Yeah.
It's also like time consuming. So like in some maybe startups or big business, they don't have the time to adjust it and like adjust it themselves and adapt it to a diverse group and so on. They need just like to produce and deliver and so on. So
but oh yes, sorry.
I mean, you know, from both perspectives, from company's perspective, I think I mean, don't have any bias first. Like if you need someone, if you find someone who's helpful, take them. Who's the best there? Be it Swedish, be it Indian, be it anyone possible. I mean, that is available to you. That should not be even a question. Like, you know, we should. But I think so. Like, you know, that should not even be a question. Whereas talking about the social stigma that we have, there's certain kind of method. I mean, type of growing environment we have. It's mine, like. Yeah. So.
Nope.
No,
Okay,
it's not.
just my I think it was in a pocket. Yeah. So it's more like from. I mean, anyone, just don't think too much about it. Just have fun there. You know, if you think you are not getting hurt, use the icebreakers. And, you know, at the point of time, not why does a group of 10 people will adapt to you? Understand that as well. Try to break the barrier and, you know, maybe get something that interests them. In the sense, in terms of intellectual conversation as well. You can try. It will improve you as well.
If that is for me, no, I totally.
No.
agree.
Okay. Not just for you. I'm just saying in a context where I have applied this to myself. I was kind of introvert before, and when I didn't even know the language like French, I couldn't even order there. And when I asked in English, I'm very fortunate. Like in Sweden, it doesn't happen like that, right? You can at least speak some broken English, and I think Swedish people speak better English than I do. So that's quite good here. So I learned these ways, you know, to induce these icebreakers. If you do that, people get comfortable. Bring them into their comfort zone or go there. I think that is the.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I was just thinking also. I think it's a little bit. Oh, maybe I'm gonna regret this comment, but I think it's also a little bit naive to think that everything is gonna work just great because you hire Swedish people. That you're not gonna have conflicts at work, and that you're not gonna have people that are unhappy, and that there are not. Issues. You're still going to have to work with the group. You're still going to have someone who's not, you know, doing what they're supposed to do. I think it's a good excuse. I think to not open up to other possibilities. I don't think you grow if you don't, and then you might still come to the decision that, well, I'm just going to keep it as is. But to kind of think that, well, if I just hire people just like myself, I'm going to have a bunch of Fridas at work. We're not going to, I mean, we're still going to get into conflicts. We're not all just the same. I think it's naive to think that if I just stick with what I know, it will go great, because it won't. You will have issues anyway. And we all go through those stages. And then we, you know, I think so.
For what it's worth, I don't regret you actually made that comment, because I think it makes a lot of sense, and that's my biggest takeaway, honestly. But time has flown by, guys. It's time to thank our amazing panel. Thank you so much for this discussion. Thank you guys for asking those good questions. Really, I kind of feel we need to soon book another one. Kind of hinting, you know, living up there. But but thanks everyone really for your contributions today. Thank you so much, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.